Well, thank you for staying, you guys. I'd be off to lunch by now if I was you, if you sat through an hour of Bruce back there. Yeah, but soon. But it's lovely to be here. Thank you very much for that introduction. Yes, I was involved in a short movie.
Very short.
I can't remember. It was Blue Harvest, wasn't it?
I believe it was Blue Harvest.
Wasn't that what it was called originally?
Not very many people saw it.
Not many people saw it, did they?
Yeah, like there's not much of a fan base for it at all.
No, but I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
One
over
day.
the years it will develop,
one day.
One day.
Little film in 1977 that people still don't know about.
Who knew? Well, we all thought it was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That was the problem for all the English actors. Everybody gave George such a hard time, including the crew, that you had to feel very sorry for him, because you've got to remember that in 1976, every sci-fi film was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and it was George that changed everything. More or less overnight. So the crew themselves, based in England at Elstree Studios, all had come from major movies such as Lawrence of Arabia, Ryan's Daughter, all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that Alec Guinness did. So they were a bit snotty, the crew. And then when this young American Yank upstart came over, they gave him a really hard time. And so it's more power to George that he managed to get through that first movie, and not only that, he had the backers on his back for that first couple of month period, because he borrowed the 10-11 million bucks to actually make the movie in the first place. Not only that, but he'd gathered a crew around him. By that I mean the actors, all of whom were unknown apart from Alec Guinness. Now Alec was the big star.
Right.
He'd done 50 films up to that point in time, very, very good films, and he was a superlative, as you know, I don't have to tell you, he was a superlative actor. But Carrie not so much, because everybody knew that she was the daughter of Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, so she had that fame on her back. But no one knew Harrison, no one knew Mark. And again, they were very much working on a wing and a prayer, and it was down to their professionalism, I think, that they managed to carry that through. In fact, even for the first 2 weeks of the movie, the backers, the money men, were trying to get Harrison sacked, because they did not want him to play the part. They wanted a name, Tom Selleck or someone, etc. But you all know the story about how Harrison got the job.
It's like this Carpenter, man. We don't want him on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the joke is that Harrison was working on this lady's house in California, fixing her shingles, because he was a really good carpenter. And he was fixing the shingles, and he got the call through from George saying, "We'd love you to do Han Solo," and she's still waiting for the roof to be finished. So I don't know whether that's a possibility, whether maybe, I mean, he's rescued someone in his helicopter, so
it's true.
Maybe
also crashed a plane, but I mean,
no, exactly, and crashed a plane. yes, that's
Harrison's had a very, very long storied life. Like you almost can't believe some of the stuff that he's done. All right, so let's jump back into this, because I'm having a lot of fun with this, but I really want to rein us in a little bit. So obviously, I'm disinserting podcast. We have a segment on our show called "Growing Up Geeky." What did you geek out on when you were a kid?
Oh, always a good question, I think, that, because we all have our favorites and our peccadillos. I kind of was a bit of a sci-fi nerd, but the sci-fi I liked, because we got, as a kid, I mean, I'm going back into the Boer War now. That's how old I am. As a kid, we had the same TV shows that you guys did here in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. So I was watching Hopalong Cassidy. I was watching, what was the guy who was in sci-fi who had with Dale Arden,
you know, my mind went to Flash Gordon, but not Flash Gordon.
It was Flash Gordon, the TV series Flash Gordon. So I loved that. That was a sort of geeky thing. And of course, in the UK, the best series we
Buck
were
Rogers
watching.
was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, absolutely. Buck Rogers. We got Buck Rogers too. Really terrific stuff. But Star Trek
Yes.
was the main influence for all of us. Because at that point in time, it was state of the art. We in the UK had never seen anything like that. I mean, we'd seen a lot of the early Doctor Who's where the furniture fell over. And
I was going to say Doctor Who was bigger over there. Because we didn't get Doctor Who until years later.
No, that's right.
Right. You guys had.
But we got it in black and white right from the start when William Hartnell was the first Doctor, and then the sets were pretty, and the aliens were pretty basic, let me tell you. But it was
George got to use a couple of them later on, though.
He did, absolutely. But that was the sort of geeky stuff that I suppose I was interested in, and of course music. As a geek in the 50s and 60s, again we followed you guys over here with music, and then everyone sort of followed the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, etc.
Were you more of a rock fan, like a rock and roll fan?
I was a bit of a rock and roll fan. Everybody had their favorites. I liked the Beatles. Other people went for the Rolling Stones, but yeah, I liked all that. In fact, that's how I started in the business. I was in the original boy band in the Midlands in the UK. At the age of 11, I sang a cappella with a friend of mine and his friend, and we practiced in his dad's front room. And we used to do covers of Beatles songs and all that kind of stuff. And one day his dad came in and said, your a cappella stuff is not bad, and you play guitars as well, so that's a plus. Do you want to do a few gigs? Because he was an organist in working men's clubs and variety, your kind of vaudeville, when it was just on the way down. So we played up and down the UK and a bit in France. At the age of 11, we were earning more money at school than we did for the next 10 years. So that was pretty cool. But that's how I kind of got into it. And then we all went our own separate ways. We went to college and university and did whatever it was they did. But that's how I got into performing, which was such fun.
How did that lead into acting?
Well, desperation, really. Like everybody else at the time, I had no idea what I wanted to do. But because I'd had that element of performance, and it was quite entertaining, I thought, well, maybe that's the way to go. And because I played an instrument, it gave me a bit of an advantage. In one of the first jobs I did, I played in a rock musical up in Newcastle in the UK. This is how old I am. In the backing band of this musical was Sting. That's how. So Sting backed me in a musical in just before Star Wars, I think, round about 19.
Police?
Yeah, no, he hadn't got the police together.
Way before the police.
Way before the police. In fact, we were a bit friendly at the time, and he came down to London, which is where we were living, and I said, "What are you doing, Sting?" He was called Sting, incidentally, even way back then.
He was already calling himself Sting.
Already, because he wore a black and white sweater, which looked like a bee. So everybody called him Sting. And he had a dog that was black and white as well. So hence his nickname right from the start, right before police.
That is such a punk rock thing.
It is.
Like, yeah, no, my name is Sting.
Yeah.
You call yourself that?
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
But hey, if you'd heard him sing then, as now, you kind of thought this guy is original. You know, this guy is super charismatic. But he came down, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm going to America as a last-ditch attempt before I give up this entertainment idea entirely and become a teacher," because that's what he was at the time. So the music was only part-time. And I said, why are you going to the States? And he said, "Well, I've written a song, and I'm going to put my money into it, as opposed to getting every producer over here who will then stitch me up for everything." And I said, do you have a title for it? Have you sung it yet? He said, "Not yet, but I think we're going to call it Roxanne." Yeah, exactly. And from that point onwards, that's the last I saw Sting.
That's actually an amazing story. That's particularly funny for me because, long story short, it was a karaoke night. My wife continuously, especially when she drinks, will just start screaming Roxanne out the window. Right?
It's a great song, isn't it?
Like she will roll down the window. My wife is very introverted, right? But she'll get a little bit of alcohol in her, roll the window down, stick her head out the window, and go, Listen. I'm just like the police references are like my favorite part of it. Okay, so do you remember the first time hearing that George Lucas was making this little sci-fi film and kind of well, how was he? How did you find out about the audition process for?
How did I get the job?
Yeah.
Serendipity, like everything in life. I was working with Anthony Daniels, who was C-3PO, for the BBC in a kids' TV series called Jack and Ori, and we did a sort of Christmas special of this. And then after filming that, he rang me up about 2 weeks later and said, "I'm doing this this terrible sci-fi film." And the director is desperate for some cheap actor. So I said, "Well, I'm your man, obviously."
That sounds like Anthony Daniels.
Absolutely. And so I found myself about a month later on the set of A New Hope at Elstree Studios, very early in the morning. And there was nobody there. It was empty, apart from this beautiful sort of mock-up at the end of this sand and big arc lights coming from the soundstage, and an AD right at the far end. And I thought, well, this is quite impressive. And I'd had the script. Oh, no, I didn't get the script at that point. But anyway, I went up to the AD and I said, "Hi, my name's Paul. I'm here to..." Couldn't get me a cup of tea or something, could you, or a coffee or something? I've come all the way from central London, and it's, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning now. I'm desperate. So he went off, got me a coffee, came back, and we were just standing there. And I said, "Do you know anything about the movie they're shooting here later on? It's I've got to see the director or the producer. I think his name is George." He said, "I'm George Lucas."
So you're asking George to give you a coffee?
I asked George Lucas for a cup of coffee. So, I mean, normally that would have been the last I'd have seen of anything to do with Star Wars, but he was gracious enough to get me a cup of coffee and give me a job.
I can imagine seeing young George Lucas and thinking he's a PA immediately. Just like...
I mean, easily done, you know.
Right.
He was very shy, very unassuming.
Right, especially when you see pictures of him when he was younger. It's like, no, I can mistake him for a PA. That would be pretty easy to do. Yeah, so when you actually, I'm going to ask this one first because I was going to backtrack a little bit here. But when you first see this costume that you're going to be in, right? You see Greedo. What was your initial reaction to this green alien that is in front of you? Like, I'm a bug monster? What is this?
It was crazy. You're absolutely right. Because I was a snotty young English actor in my 20s, having done a few Shakespeares, been doing a few things in the West End, considering myself, the usual arrogance of youth. So when I got the script, and I did get a script sent through to me from Lucasfilm, and I was sort of flicking through, as you do, and sort of came to the cantina sequence and thought, oh, well, this is about the only thing that makes sense in this movie. It's a cowboy, it's a classic cowboy scene.
Right.
The goodie meets the baddie in a bar, gives him a chance to go for his gun, then shoots him, and that's the end of the scene. Classic, brilliant cowboy stuff, which I loved anyway. So I did kind of cotton onto that. And my wife was reading it with me. She was an actress at the time. And incidentally, just sidestepping, when I got the phone call from Anthony to go and see George, he knew Kate, my wife, and he said, "Would Kate be interested in doing a bit in the film as well?" And she was going, no, because she'd been a dancer and she'd transitioned to acting because she was a very great dancer. She was a classical ballet dancer. She was dancing with the Royal Ballet in London. But she had terrible injury and she had to give up dancing completely, and then went kind of into acting as a secondary thing to do, went to drama school. So she didn't want to have much to do with dance after that. And I think the part that she would have done would have been in Jabba's palace or something to that end.
Right.
One of the girls dancing there, and that's why she turned it down. But I never let her forget to this day that she could be sitting here with me had she accepted the offer of going to audition for Star Wars.
Right, and again, kind of now that we've kind of talked about your initial seeing of the costume and everything.
Well, yeah, the costume itself, I didn't see until the very last moment, and almost the day before we started filming. And I was in the dark as to how and what to do with this character, because even Sean, the brilliant props and costume designer, had, like everything in that first film, been left it to the last moment to come up. I think the deadline was 2 days after, when he came up with the concept of Greedo, or an alien, another alien, because he'd done all the other characters in the cantina up to that point. So he was bereft of ideas about how to produce a Greedo image. The night before his deadline, he saw an advert on British TV for bird's eye peas. And the pea was a great big green pea, and it bounced all across the screen. That's the character that that Sean decided Greedo was going to be. So I am based on a bird's eye green pea.
What if I take a green pea but turn it into a fly? That's going to be the character that Paul's going to play.
And that was my first introduction to it. Then I had to do the life mask of the head. The rest of the costume was easy. It was parachute silk, so very lightweight, so not too bad for me to wear. But the first time I actually put it on at Elstree and had to walk out on set, I felt very at home, because everybody else was dressed in something crazy. I mean, utterly crazy. We had a props table from that wall to this wall with people's heads on, all in styrofoam and papier-mâché, which the designers had done, and puppets. Everything was there. And of course, being very inquisitive, you tried everybody else's head on because they looked so exciting. You didn't try them on for long because they weren't hot. That wasn't a problem. They stank inside. I mean, they were really smelly. So you kept wearing your own head. Yeah. And even that was pretty offensive.
Paper mache and latex and everything that's in there. Like, and imagine they smelled like farts and terribleness.
Exactly, they do. So that was my first introduction to the costume. Then I walked out onto set, saw George. He was, of course, 100 miles an hour busy on trying to sort everything else out about the movie.
Faster and more tense.
Absolutely. So I went up to him and I said, hi, George, when are we shooting this afternoon, okay? How do you want me to play Greedo? You know, here I am in this thing. How do you want me to play him? And he looked at me intensely for about a minute. And he said, Paul, play it like they do in the movies. And I thought that was the best advice anyone has ever given me about any performance from Macbeth downwards, believe me. So that's what I did. I played it like they did in the movies.
What, was it difficult delivering any lines in the mask?
You couldn't hear a word through the mask. I mean, it was totally muffled, so it was. So it was all in English, obviously, all the dialogue. And Harrison was generous enough to let me do my close-ups, even in a mask that didn't work, and repeating something to him that he couldn't hear, just to get a master shot to begin with, and then a few close-ups. And then he was also generous enough, so I read in for his lines behind camera when he had to do all the reversals. And when we both finished it, I thought, well, that's the last I'll see of that scene. They can't hear anything, they can't see much, and that'll be it. So, because I thought my only contribution in this film would be the earlier bit where I'd been with the original Jabba the Hutt, discussing the same thing in the scene with Jabba. Who was an Irish actor called Declan Mulholland. And that's the scene I thought I'd been as the henchman in the back of the shot. The knockoff King Lear is what we tend to call him. It's at least the outfit that they put him in. Yes, absolutely. He looked like a furry King Lear. You're right.
He really was.
Yeah.
That was before they decided, no, we're gonna make him a slug.
Yeah, we're making a slug.
Right. So when you're in the costume, you're on set getting ready to do these lines. You've already done the scene with Jabba earlier on. at any point during filming this, are you thinking this is going to be a thing? This is going to be.
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us thought the movie would ever come out, let alone us be in it. So imagine our surprise about a year later when it eventually. I didn't go to the premiere. I was actually working on another job, so I only got to see the movie when it came out about 6 months after it premiered, and I saw it in London, like you guys saw it over here, in a big cinema with Dolby. But the moment the Star Destroyer goes over your head in the cinema and the Dolby kicks in,
Yeah.
it got me the same as it got you guys, and I was so excited. Then the movie played out and went on and on, and I wasn't in it. And it went on and on and on. I still wasn't in it. My wife was sitting there, my wife. I said, I don't think I'm in this actually, Katie, because and then I suddenly heard the Cantina music playing, and I recognized it, and I thought, hang on, this is the Cantina. I may be in it.
Right.
And as soon as I saw the scene starting and Greedo walking into shot there, I was so excited. I jumped up and said, "That's me!" Kate went, "Shh, sit down." So I was excited as you guys were when I first saw the movie. I just thought it was stunning.
Right. And I mean, it's the cinematography was unmatched at the time. It's like you mentioned at the beginning. It is something that forever changed sci-fi.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it had the best cinematographers. It had a wonderful arts studio. It had the costumes, the props, and like all projects that are based on not so much money but talent, you manage to find a way if there isn't always masses of money there. And I think that was one of the genius things that George managed, was to find a way into establishing industrial light and magic, establishing the way of editing the movie, all of which gave him horrendous headaches and nightmares. But he stuck at it and produced something that's, well, you know what he produced after that, something that's been around iconically for the last 50 years. 50 years is the next anniversary of A New Hope.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, staying within this realm, the Cantina is one of the most iconic locations in cinematic history. What do you remember most about filming in the Cantina?
I remember a lot of dwarves, a lot of very small people, all of whom remain friends, actually, ever since that day. And how annoying were they? They were first to the bar in the evening. They were first in the canteen to get the bacon sandwiches. They were so fucking annoying, those dwarves. And I say this as most of them are my friends still now, and don't mind me saying this because they are equally as abusive to me most of the time. And particularly, Kenny became a close friend and was just wonderful because we shared a few experiences. I'm a Midlander and so was he. And he started off in vaudeville and music hall. So we shared all those experiences. But I remember that a lot. I remember the small folk. I remember the animatronic puppets, which Bill created, which were fabulous. And you don't get to see all of those in the movie. You only get to see some of them. But even the ones that you do get to see were stunning.
Right. Some of them became toys afterwards. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I remember all that. And I remember the scene where I get shot, the famous scene. The only bit I really do remember is putting the dummy into the seat where I was sitting, putting my costume on the dummy, and the Jelly Knight Man, there's always a guy who blew things up on movies in the 1960s, filling the dummy with explosive, and they took a one shot of it blowing up, ripped the costume off the dummy, put it back on me, still on fire. Cheap actors then, you could get another actor easily.
The hole in your chest now?
Exactly, yes. Poured a bit of acid onto the back of my costume so it looked like steam coming out of the wound, and then they filmed me dying forward. So that's how Greedo was actually killed, and he was never shot. So he didn't shoot first, second, and neither did Harrison.
Oh man, kind of just ruined my next question here. I was going to say the question everybody knew was coming.
Yes.
Right? We got to address the bantha in the room.
Yeah.
Right? How often do people ask you who shot first?
Well, I can answer that by saying I normally answer them before they've got the question out. And it's wonderful because you guys all, like everyone in life, have an opinion about it. And that's great. You should have an opinion about it. Everyone's got an opinion about movies and about scenes and about things that they love or hate or whatever. For my 10 penneth, I liked the original version, which was what the script said, which was we played the scene and then right at the end in parenthesis, it says Han shoots the alien. I didn't even have a name then. It was just the alien.
Right.
And I've still got that script, incidentally. So that's what I prefer. But I know everyone has an opinion about it. And I know why George changed it. I think he's changed it nearly 3 times now, maybe 2, 3 times.
He's changed how fast it happened. He changed.
Yes.
At one point, like when he first changed it, it was Greedo shot first.
Yep.
And then Han is reacting to it.
Yep.
There was another one where Han's seeing him, so he's trying to protect himself, and he does it to protect himself. I understand that and everything like that, but like my opinion on this is Han Solo is a better character if his arc is I was a scoundrel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he has that redemption by the end of the movie.
Absolutely. This is what I found so great about that little scene, is that it's the first and major introduction to what his character is as Han Solo. He's a space cowboy and blows away a bit of alien, as a space cowboy would. I think George's final opinion on it was he said that he wanted the Solo character to be more like John Wayne used to be in the movies, where he always gave the bad guy the chance to go for his gun. And that was the final explanation that George gave about the changes.
Right.
So I kind of see that.
Yeah, and I mean, Han's mostly the character himself is based on a lot of John Wayne, based on a lot of Kurosawa. So
absolutely,
I can see where his logic is in that. And I mean, George is going to do what he wants. It's his movie. So, I mean,
exactly. It's his toy.
Exactly. When did you first realize that scene had become one of the biggest debates in movie history?
I think when it became the biggest debate in movie history. Yes, I mean, I'm eternally grateful about that, because it did throw in relief the movie again and the character of Han Solo. I was always, again, for my own opinion, I was always kind of disappointed that in the later movies Han didn't feature more than he does.
Yeah.
Because he's such a wonderful character, and his relationship with Chewbacca was fabulous. I love Chewbacca too. Pete Mayhew was fantastic as Chewbacca, and I love that idea. And that relationship was as good as any screen double act.
As much as I love seeing the Chewbacca voice over Chewbacca, my favorite things in the world are seeing the pre-sound versions of it, so it's Peter delivering his lines, right? Because of how annoyed Peter sounds when he's yelling at Harrison.
And I'm sure that was
Get me my wrench!
Yeah, I'm sure that was utterly genuine from me.
When are we leaving?
Yeah, forever angry. But hey, that was very close to Chewbacca itself. And incidentally, Darth Vader, Dave Prowse, of course, as you all know, the original Darth Vader, always used to make all of us laugh, because Dave was adamant that it should have been his voice and not James Earl Jones. And of course, Dave was from Bristol and had a broad Bristolian accent and said, I don't know why, Paul, they didn't use my voice as Darth Vader. I could have done it properly. And he genuinely thought that it could have been his voice. Dave was marvelous in many other aspects of Darth Vader. His stature, I can't imagine anyone else.
He was an amazing actor. He was good in Clockwork Orange. He was in so many good movies.
Pretty cool as that. But his voice, not so much. Dave would never play Hamlet, that is for sure. Unless it was from the West Country, Hamlet.
And again, same thing is seeing David Prowse deliver that opening scene. right? And it's like that in comparison to James Earl Jones. I mean, there's not an imposing feeling with David Prowse, whereas James Earl Jones feels like that voice alone will kill you. So it's like
Absolutely. But the combination, again, George's genius, the combination of James Earl Jones and Dave's stature
Right.
and image, that's why everyone loved Darth Vader. He's one of the great classic movie villains.
Correct.
There's not many others that are better than what that combination of ideas caused. And incidentally, the third part of that triumvirate is John Williams' music. I can't imagine any scene from Star Wars movies, also many other movies, without that John Williams soundtrack. And we all know when we hear bits of it where it's from and what it's from. So that's the third part of the genius of it all.
I worked in music before I got into film and everything as well. So I actually studied a course on John Williams' process making the Imperial March. And kind of breaking down like why he has such a staccato in the drums and why these different notes are used, because they're invoking different feelings of dread. And I'm just like, this is the thought behind everything that John Williams does is absolutely mind blowing. Like the way he thinks about music is just crazy. Like he thinks of it the same way that we think about like trying to word a conversation. It's absolutely amazing. So, have you heard any fan theories about Greedo that just made you laugh? Like just fans saying, "Oh,
McClunky." McClunky, what's that all about? I mean, I only saw that on a fan's T-shirt about 3 years ago. I said, what's that?
It's one of the words he says.
Yeah, it's one of the words Greedo says when he dies. I didn't say McClunky when I died. I said, ouch. But that's funny.
That's good. What's one of the funniest things that fans has ever said to you about that scene in general, outside of McClunky?
Well, I'll tell you a little story. I'll keep it short. I was doing a convention with... no, it wasn't a convention. It was a little signing in a bookshop in mid-America somewhere. Can't remember where it was. With Richard Le Parmentier, who played Admiral Motti, one of the one who gets strangled on the Death Star. That's the one, yeah. And we were in this little bookshop in a basement, and we had our agent behind us, and there'd been very few people there that morning, and we suddenly heard sound of someone walking down the stairs. Coming in, and it was this guy completely covered from head to foot in a big coat with a big cap, dark glasses, and a mask which came to there. And we all went, fuck, this guy's going to shoot us. And he came and started moving towards us rather slowly like that. And I could feel the agent bristling, getting ready to take a bullet behind us. And he got his hand in his jacket like that. And he started to pull his hand out of his jacket. And we thought, oh, God. And he got a little piece of paper. And we sort of leant forward. And on the piece of paper, it said, I've just been to the dentist, but I'm a huge fan and I can't speak. Could you possibly sign this? So we all went, thank God, and started to sign an autograph. He was so excited and pleased that he said, thank you, and spat blood all over.
It was still a horror scene.
It was still a horror scene.
It was still a horror scene.
It was all over Richard, all over the pictures. That was the most funniest and horrific fan moment that I think anyone has ever had in Star Wars. I remember it to this day.
It's like if I ever wanted to be in a horror film,
that's the one to do.
Awful. So here's a hypothetical that I'm going to give you, because who knows the character better than you. If Greedo got a do-over to collect that bounty,
yes,
how would he approach it? Instead of just going right in front of Han and saying, hey, give me your money.
Yeah, a difficult one. I mean, you've got to remember, Greedo was very young at the time. He'd been to assassin college, but he didn't graduate on close range. Grassy Knoll, he was fine. He got A stars on Grassy Knoll. He could have managed that, I think. But so he was very young when Jabba gave him the commission. You know, Greedo was a pawn in the process, like all those characters are. So I can't really imagine any other solution. The only thing I think is I should have shot him immediately, and then it would have been my entire movie. I'd have run off with Princess Leia, defeated Vader. The whole thing. I would have been Greediana Jones. In fact, I should have texted Harrison and said, "Your career is entirely due to Greedo, you know, being shot at that point in time. Otherwise, I would have taken over the entire industry."
Have you heard those theories that Indiana Jones and Star Wars are in the same universe?
No, that sounds very exciting. Yes.
It's this whole thing about Han travels in time by accident and ends up on our planet and just like, okay, well, I'm going to make the best of this, and becomes Indiana Jones.
I think that's amazing. I think that could work as a film. I'd pay money to see that.
Because the whole thing is he's stranded. So he's like, okay, what do I do? I'm going to go become an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Because that's an easy thing to do.
Absolutely, I think that's a great idea. But yeah, I'm still in favour of Greedo. Well, I mean, poor Mrs. Greedo.
Right.
I mean, really, she's still at home with 200 small Greedos. They're very prolific species, the Rhodians. All waiting for Greedo's return, and it was never to be. It's a very sad story, Greedo.
It kind of is. It's funny, he's not wrong, because Rhodians do have a lot of kids.
200 Rhodians, yes.
Oh, man. I got to ask before we get into audience questions here, just a show of hands. How many people here think Han shot first?
I'm with you guys.
How many here think Greedo shot first? There's a couple. I'm just curious. I was just curious on like how many people actually have that belief.
Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
Quite right, too.
So with that being said, is there anybody in the audience? Oh, my God, Freakazoid. Is there anybody in the audience that has a question for Paul?
Don't be shy.
Raise your hand.
I've stunned them all into silence.
Apparently. It's more like they can't follow the act. That's what it is.
Well.
You're There we go. We got one here.
Gentleman there.
You said you were friends with Anthony Daniels before
Yeah.
seeing him in costume.
In costume? Yes, I did see him in costume because I saw him in the entrance to the cantina. That's right. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember much about that. Although the crew did play a few jokes on Anthony from time to time, screwed him in a bit too tight sometimes, and but the costume was pretty impressive even then, even way back on a set where you don't get the full impression of what you see on the screen. It was still quite impressive, much more so than Kenny's little R2-D2. Incidentally, the crew were as bad with Kenny as they were with Harrison, and they used to play very naughty tricks on him. And I remember one day where they filled the entire R2-D2 with very naked pictures of ladies in distress. And all you could hear from inside this tin can was, "What the bloody hell is this?" And Kenny was mortified about all this.
It's funny because I can hear Kenny Baker saying it in my head right now.
Absolutely. So the crew were very naughty and did play a lot of tricks like that. But thank you. I don't really remember that too much. But then I didn't have too much to do as Greedo in all that with Anthony. Anthony was in a lot of the other stuff, obviously.
Right. Is there any other questions here in the audience?
No, they're stunned.
They are stunned. All right. Well, I've got some rapid fire questions for you here.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We are looking to get the first answer that comes to mind.
Sure.
Okay. Favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, A New Hope, obviously.
Favorite convention city besides Reno, of course?
Ooh, apart from Reno, Hawaii.
Ooh.
My wife came to that one. I don't know why. It seemed...
It's like, why would you go to the Hawaii show but not any of the other ones?
I know. Why? But Hawaii, yeah.
Right. Lightsaber or blaster?
Has to be the blaster because I kept it.
Oh, you still have the blaster?
I kept it.
You kept it. Okay, we'll
but
stay with that.
I'll tell you that again. I'll be quick.
That's fine.
Not much stuff you wanted from Star Wars in 1976. It was all junk. You could have taken the entire set if you wanted to, because by that point no one was interested and needed to get rid of it. But the guns were quite cool. They were German Mausers that had been decommissioned, and the props department had put little bits of plastic on them to make them look like space guns. So I took it home for my kids to play with. After 2 or 3 years, one of them snapped the bit of plastic off the front of the gun. I know. So I threw it in the trash.
Oh.
At a convention about 3 years ago, I told this story to a promoter, and he went white. He said, Paul, broken, $700,000 broken, because it's one of the few iconic guns that was still around. The only other one,
and it was screen use that
and
also
screen used.
right.
The only other one was Harrison's, and he's got that at his ranch.
Yeah,
I
that
think.
DO-88 is going to be worth a lot of money if it ever goes anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I should go to that rubbish tip and see if I can dig it up now.
What is your favorite British television show?
Ooh, difficult. Hate them all. I like Korean.
Oh, okay.
I love Korean TV series.
K-drama. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Have you ever... Did you keep any other souvenirs aside from the gun?
Apart from the gun, no. The costume I, again, could have taken, but it was so hot and the mask, I don't know where the mask is. I think one of the British collectors had got the original mask, because a lot of the original masks disintegrate because of that styrofoam stuff they were made of. They don't hang around unless you keep them in a temperature-controlled environment.
Right. Or if you put any kind of finishing on it to make sure it doesn't crumble apart.
Absolutely. Right? I wouldn't. Oh, the only other bit of trivia I can tell you, and I learned this stuff recently after 50 years. One of the big collectors I was having a conversation with, and he said, do you know what happened to the little jacket you wore as Greedo? And I said, no. What, do you know what happened? He said, oh, yes. He said they were so short of money on the first movie that they used it as part of Princess Leia's slave bikini. So Greedo's jacket ended up on Carrie as her slave Leia bikini. Amazing.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. Okay. So we're gonna call this. We're gonna play a game. We're gonna call this Greedo's Bounty Board. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what you got to do with this one is the same kind of thing. I'm gonna ask a couple rapid fire questions, but it's who would Greedo rather hunt? Okay, Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones. I might have a better chance with him.
Luke Skywalker or Marty McFly?
Oh, that's a hard one. Would have to be Marty McFly, I think. More annoying than Luke Skywalker.
Lord Vader or Batman?
Batman, I think, yeah. I'm always in awe of Vader.
Vader's just going to get you from across the room anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chewie or Groot?
Oh, that's terrible. They're both iconically lovable.
They are, but Greedo is Greedo.
Greedo's Greedo. Well, it'd have to be Groot then, wouldn't it? Because he's small, and I could probably try and tread on him.
And then finally, the Mandalorian. So Din Djarin or Boba Fett?
Was
bounty hunter on bounty hunter action.
Well, Boba Fett, I think. In that, Jeremy and I used to have a competition because we were old friends,
right.
Jeremy Bullock and I, and we'd been in a play together before Star Wars. And I always used to tease him. He used to tease me as well by saying, Jeremy, you died in a children's sandpit. Whereas Greedo, at least, was shot. He didn't like that very much.
I imagine he didn't like that. So we're picking Boba Fett on that then.
Boba Fett, I think, every time. Yeah.
Every time. All right, so we're going to get into some wrap-up questions here. I'm going to ask you the hardest question you've ever been asked in your life. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
What is your favorite kind of taco?
I don't eat tacos very much, but occasionally I do have to be a seafood one, I think. Something with seafood in it. That is delicious.
All right. Who wins in a shootout? Greedo or Colin Sands from Crossroads?
They won't know this character.
No, they won't know
I'm
this
sure
one.
they won't. I was in a terrible BBC. No, it was a commercial series in England called Crossroads, which was. I was in it for quite a long period of time. So I think Colin Sands. I love Colin Sands.
Colin would be a better shot.
Yeah, yes.
It's a good pull for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Sands anytime.
What's next for you that fans should be excited about? Do you have anything coming up? Anything you want to promote?
God, no, I'm nearly dead now. I retired about 5 years ago. I mean, you can still catch some of the stuff if you're that desperate. I did a lot of, towards the end of my career, I did a lot of audio books. And I think a lot of those are still around. I recorded a lot of those in the UK, again, for the BBC. But that was great. I loved doing all that because you go into a radio studios, you don't have to look your best. You work for a couple of hours and you go home and that's the end of it. And they're quite cool, those books. It was like when you first started in the business, a lot of it was rehearsal and getting it right. So I really enjoyed that. But I think if anyone, people do ask me from time to time to do a few little bits and pieces, but I'm always too lazy. The reason why I stopped acting, I adored it. I was very lucky. I started at a period of time when you were allowed to act, not like kids today who have to do another job, and it's very hard to make a whole career out of being a professional actor. So I was lucky at the time, like a lot of our other guys, in that we were allowed to work. You had to be of a certain standard, but as long as you went up to the auditions and things, you most of the time got cast. So I had a very fortunate career, but I was kind of glad to finish because I ended up despising audiences, and that's not a good thing, believe me. I hated having to turn up in theatres, and people who paid good money for it didn't like it if you didn't turn up. Quite right.
Right. And finally, where can everybody follow you, support your work, and keep up with what you're doing? Obviously, everybody in here, if you guys haven't already gone to go see him at his table, please do. But
well, thank you. Again, I'm prehistoric. I don't do social media. I occasionally do WhatsApp with my family because I've got a big family. But I mean, I do a lot of conventions here in the States. I do a lot in England, and that's what I really enjoy. Because meeting you guys, without being really schmaltzy about this, has always been the coolest thing. Because you, actually, you're a little bit too young for this, but most of you grew up with us with those franchises, and that was a real privilege. And having you come to us and saying delightful things to us, being so charming, and giving us money is the best feeling in the world, believe me.
That is the best thing when people give you money, right?
Exactly.
Well, of course, Paul, thank you for spending time with us and sharing these incredible stories from one of the most beloved franchises in entertainment history. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Paul Blake.